So today, I have a very special person in the studio here with us, Miss Jeannie Stratus. She has graciously decided to come on our podcast, What I Know, and I would like to thank her and thank you for coming on the show, Miss Jeannie. Why don't you tell our audience a little bit about you and who you are? Introduce yourself.
First of all, thank you for having me. I love this. My name is Jeannie Stratus, and I am running for circuit judge for the 7th Judicial Circuit. That would serve the counties of Volusia, Flagler, Putnam, and St. Johns counties. Okay, pretty big area. But I've been serving that area as an assistant state attorney for the last 25 years. So although I'm based in DeLand and have been for most of that time, on occasion I've had to go to the other jurisdictions for our office. Now I will hopefully get to do it as a judge.
Awesome, awesome. So, what made you decide to get into law?
It's just what I knew I should do. It's crazy. There's nothing specific that said you should be a lawyer. I did like to argue with my parents a lot as a kid. So, that might have had a little to do with it, but there wasn't anything specific, nothing that happened that said this is what you should do. It's just that's what I knew I should do.
And you've been doing that for
25 years.
25 years.
Yes.
So, after doing it for 25 years, I'm sure you've had many heart-wrenching people come in front of
Yeah.
you and so forth. How are you able to maintain a good attitude doing this?
I love being an assistant state attorney. The cases I handle that I've been handling for quite some time now, I'm in the career criminal unit. And what
Okay.
that means is we handle homicides, sex crimes, internet crimes against kids, firearms cases, cases that are eligible for the enhanced sentencing structures of prison releasee, reoffender, and habitual offender. And, those cases are the worst of the worst.
Mhm.
Being able to help my victims and my families, that gives me some joy. That helps my community that I live in and work in to protect the community as much as I possibly can. And so while the stories are gut-wrenching,
Mhm.
the help that I'm able to provide by doing this job,
Yeah.
it's priceless.
Priceless. Okay. So let me ask you this. So you don't have to get in any specific case. Was there any cases that really made you decide, really, I truly love to help the public after, trying a specific case or anything like that?
Probably most of the ones that I've tried, being in the career criminal unit. Again, they are the worst of the worst. They're the toughest cases, and not everyone can do them. Not everyone wants to do them because they are so heavy.
Mhm.
So being able to do that, again, it's given me the opportunity to do a whole lot, and I wouldn't trade that for anything.
Wouldn't trade it for anything.
Nope.
And like you're running for the Seventh Circuit.
Yes.
What made you decide to actually go that particular route?
Uh, Again, it's what I know I need to do.
Mhm.
When I went to law school, and this is backing up quite a bit since I've been doing this for so long,
Mhm.
I never wanted to set foot in a courtroom. Never wanted to. I was convinced transactional law,
Mhm.
sit behind a desk, don't enter the courtroom. I'm shy. I'm incredibly shy, which I know sounds interesting because I'm a trial attorney. Right. So my dear friend wanted a trial advocacy partner in law school.
Mhm.
And I thought, this is a really bad move, sir. You don't know how bad I'm going to be at this. And he insisted that I was the only one he trusted to be his partner. And so he clearly saw something in me that I assure you I did not.
Mhm.
So I said, okay, I'll do this, but on one condition: you can't complain when we bomb because you set this up, sir. And he said, deal. So we took the class, and changed my life entirely. We did 2 trials. We did a criminal trial and a civil trial,
Mhm.
and it flipped the switch for me. And I knew the courtroom was the place I needed to be.
Right.
Right. And so and he actually told me to apply to the state attorney's office in Daytona as well for the Seventh Circuit. And I didn't argue with that. I just went ahead and did it. He was right the first time. I'll just do what he says, and it worked out because 25 years later, here I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's great. It's great talking to you because I met you probably what, 2 months now? Yeah.
Time is on a. I don't understand time right now. Sorry.
Yeah.
Very good.
I know the feeling. I know the feeling. Now, if elected, okay, what principle will guide you and your decisions throughout your career?
Follow the law. Don't let my personal feelings, my personal opinion enter into that courtroom.
Hmm.
And that's something I've been doing as an assistant state attorney already. Folks don't know the relationship between being an assistant state attorney and being a judge, or the training, I think is maybe a better way to say
Yeah.
that. As an assistant state attorney, again, doing the cases that I do, especially, I have to evaluate a case and see what we can prove. Can we prove it? Can we not?
Hmm.
I may read a file and think, gosh, this person is guilty as heck. I know it, I feel it in my bones. But do I have the evidence to prove it beyond every reasonable doubt?
Hmm.
If I don't, I can't file.
Right.
And my personal opinion is entirely irrelevant.
Mhm.
It's what does the law say? Follow it. Because, I mean, I'm looking at taking people's freedom, people's liberty, and that's a heavy thing,
Mhm.
but it is for heavy cases. So I have to follow the law as it is written. And as a judge, that's what you got to do too.
Right.
You know, if you go into 3 different courtrooms and any of the judges have like the same matter before them, A, B, and C, if one of them has personal opinion that enters their rulings, then someone in that courtroom's not getting a fair shake.
Right.
You know, we need consistency, and following the law is the only way to do that.
So, uh, I might have my little opinion myself,
Fair?
but I think that uh, a way I think a lot of people can get more of their fair shake of being in a courtroom uh, is instead of having individuals, like you have a defendant, right?
Okay.
Okay. So you have a defendant. I don't want to see who that person is.
Okay.
Give me a number
Okay.
because now the your people who are prosecuting your what do you call those, jury, the
Okay. The
jury,
jury.
now they're looking at, okay, this number did this and this can be proven, this and this.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're going to vote on that,
Mm-hmm.
and the person behind that number
Mm-hmm.
now get sentence or whatever for. So sometimes I see it a lot where if people feel that people get unfair justice, and I think that will get rid of a lot of the unfair justice.
Mm-hmm. A
How?
lot of people do feel that they've been treated unfairly, and I get why.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I'm not saying that doesn't happen,
Right.
but part of what we have to prove in the criminal court is that the person sitting on trial is the person that committed the crime.
Right.
So if we were to give them a number
Mm-hmm.
and not have anyone see who they are,
Mm-hmm.
we couldn't prove the identity of the person. And that's an element we have to prove in the courtroom.
Yeah, that's kind of rough.
Yeah.
That's why y'all do what you do and I don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's how are you getting your um people out there to know who you are, and to get to know exactly what you're all about? Because I met you through a network event,
Yes.
and sitting down and talking to you made me like, I need to get her on a podcast because she's very interested and I like the way she thinks. So how are you doing it?
Just by doing that.
Just by doing
Yeah. Going to networking events, going to community events.
Mhm.
Um, the other day, we had the DeLand and West Volusia Greater Chamber of Commerce did a hobnob at the Deltona
Mhm.
Center. They're doing another one Monday, a week from this Monday. I'm going to that.
Mhm.
The judges, the judicial race,
Mhm.
we haven't been invited to a whole lot.
Mm.
I don't think people even know there's a judicial race. In fact, I know they don't, because as I've gone to other counties, they're like, what do you mean there's a judicial race?
Right.
No one knows. So yeah, just showing up at events, introducing myself, saying, hi, I'm running for circuit judge. I'd love a minute of your time,
Mhm.
and just talking about it.
Yeah, and it's funny because I don't know any of the other people. I
Right.
only know you.
Yep.
So you know who I'm voting for.
Thank you.
So, what do you think people misunderstand about judges?
I think folks, from what I've seen from the comments online,
Mhm.
I have a page. We all have, I think all the candidates in all the races have pages.
Mhm.
And some folks are asking me if I can change this or change that. And that's not the role of a judge.
Mhm.
The judge has no control over what the law says. Our job is simply to follow it. We are to be neutral and follow the law. The legislature is tasked with changing what the law says.
Right. Okay.
And sometimes that may not be understood.
Right. So, what legacy would you like to leave if you are elected?
Oh, wow. I hope that folks find me to be fair in that I let everyone have their day in court, because that's incredibly important. Um, when one side is cut off and is not able to make their record and have their voice heard,
Mhm.
that's not okay.
Right.
Right. And that happens sometimes.
Mhm.
I know it does. I've been on the receiving end of enough.
Right.
You've said enough. So I hope to be fair and let all parties have their say. Excuse me. I also, um, I'd love to be a teaching judge, if you will. The first felony judge I was in front of, the late S. James Foxman, he was one of a kind.
Mhm.
And I've had very good luck with the judges that I've been in front of. I've been in front of tons of them. As a prosecutor, you get assigned to a docket,
Mhm.
and whatever judge is on that docket, you're there for however long,
Right.
and day in, day out. One of the things he did, and those of us that were there then, 20 something years ago, still talk about it to this day. Every morning before court started, he would make coffee for us.
Nice.
Yeah, and it was really good coffee too. But he would have all the attorneys and the staff come back, get a cup of coffee or water if you don't drink coffee,
Mhm.
and just say, "Hey, good morning. How was your weekend? How are the kids?" Things like that. And it reminded us all that while in the courtroom we have opposing sides, we can still treat each other with civility,
Yep.
right?
Mhm.
And that sometimes gets lost because we get very passionate about our sides
Mhm.
of the courtroom. And that always reinforced that, again, we are people, we are colleagues, and we need to treat each other with civility. And you actually get a lot more done that way,
Yeah.
I can tell you. And he also would let us know how we were doing. If we did something well, especially when I was brand new. I remember I started on the felony docket, and I think 2003. I only had 2 years of experience, which was not that much. I did come from the juvenile division, so I had experience in felony world,
Right.
but it's still different. So he would let me know, hey, you did a great argument there after the case was done,
Yeah.
so that he wasn't saying anything ex parte and leaving out the other side.
Right.
But he also did that to the other side.
Right.
Hey, that was good. Or hey, maybe you want to think about this, or, and he was so kind when he did it. However, he managed to run that courtroom, even if he ruled against me, I would thank him for the ruling. I couldn't get upset
Right.
about it. And I would love to do that. I would love to be able to do that because that meant so much to everybody that came before him.
Absolutely. Constructive criticism, a way to
Yes.
help you
Yes.
to be a better a person than who you. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for someone young that wants to get into the legal system, w- what advice would you give them?
Oh, I have tons. Um, so, and I actually, one of my volunteers is, she's getting ready to head into her junior year in high school, and she's thinking about it. So we were talking about this a lot the other night, on our way to, some event that we were
Event.
going to. And she did something called the Page Messenger program up in the Capitol in Tallahassee, which is great. You get to spend a week up there running around the Capitol building and seeing how things are done.
Yeah.
So that's really neat for her to do. I didn't have something like that when I was her age. Internships are great. The state attorney's office and the public defender's office do internships. They're not paid, but you get a lot of experience in criminal world.
Right.
You get to observe the courtroom. You get to see how cases are handled, both on either side, and you get to see if you even like criminal law.
Right.
Because not every type of law is for everybody. Again, remember, I wanted no part of a courtroom until I took trial ad. The classes you take in undergrad, if they have any specific legal classes, would help you figure out what kind of law you're interested in,
Right.
what suits you. The internships, I think, are probably the most important because you're right in the middle of it.
Right.
You really get to see, how does this work? Do I like this? Am I comfortable in a courtroom? Am I not comfortable in a courtroom? Which side of the courtroom?
Right. So who has had the greatest influence on you in your career?
Ooh. S. James Foxman, he as a judge, he was phenomenal. As I said, no matter which way he ruled, I couldn't be
You
upset
couldn't
by
be
that.
upset.
And I think, and he treated everyone with such kindness and such respect, and he never had to raise his voice.
Mhm.
He commanded the authority in that courtroom. He ran that courtroom so smoothly and so well, and he didn't have to raise his voice. He didn't have to get, wonky with anyone. Everyone just knew
Right.
we were going to operate this way, and we're going to do it very cleanly, very professionally, and we're going to get the business done.
Awesome.
And that's what I strive for.
So he was respected.
Oh,
As
yes.
nice.
Oh, yes.
So now, off that topic, who is Jeannie outside of the court and the justice system?
So, Jeannie, the number one thing that folks actually quite well know about me is I love to bake. I have an egregious sweet tooth, and I make no apologies for it.
Yeah.
I love to bake. It relaxes me.
Mhm.
Actually, every Christmas, I did miss, not this past year, but the year before, because of time. I bake trays and trays of treats and take it throughout the courthouse, just as a little thank you and a pick me up to the agencies within that building that we work with. Everyone loves a cookie, right?
Right.
Right? Who doesn't?
Exactly.
I mean, good gravy. Who doesn't love a cookie? So I like to just, remind everyone, thank you for all your hard work this year. We're going into a holiday season, and we're going to come back in January refreshed.
Mhm.
But yeah, the baking is a big thing for me. I'm also a member of the Rotary Club of DeLand for several years now. And
I think we talked about that before.
I think we did when
We did.
we talked a little bit about that.
Mhm.
The Rotary Club, and we have, I think we're up to 6 clubs now in West Volusia,
Mhm.
maybe 7. It's hard to keep track. We
Yeah,
have
yeah.
but there's such a need for it, and so many people want to be part of Rotary, which is great.
Mhm.
We do community service projects. One of the ones that I actually took it over my first year in Rotary. It was kind of dropped in my lap, and I thought, oh boy, how am I going to do this? Because I've never planned an event before.
Right.
It's called Bowling for Literacy.
Oh.
And yeah, it's such a great event. It started 20 years ago. Some of our members that have branched out and opened one of the newer clubs,
Mhm.
they raise money for third graders in West Volusia. And every third grader in West Volusia got their very own dictionary. That's what it started
Nice.
as. Recently, technology has taken over, and now kids have tablets. I just learned the other night that kids don't even have textbooks anymore. I didn't understand this.
What?
This is what I'm told. I don't understand it. It's foreign to me. But yeah, technology has taken over. So we've learned that dictionaries aren't as useful because they get tablets or laptops and things can get looked up online. So what I was able to do last year, we raised enough money to get each third grader in West Volusia their very own Sunshine State Young Reader book.
Mm,
And that went over like wildfire
nice.
because we deliver those books to the kids in the classroom, And this year it's actually August 15th, the last day of early voting
Mhm.
before the August 18th election is the day I'm holding the Bowling for Literacy event this year. So that planning was fabulous. But it's such a worthwhile cause. And to see these kids, they were dancing, they were singing, they were whooping it up getting these SSR books because they get brag tags.
Okay.
And a brag tag is a very hot commodity in the third grade world. The more books you read, the more brag tags you get, and it's a little
Okay.
bit of a contest.
Oh.
In fact, some of our fellow Rotarians decided to read the book so they could get their brag tags too. Literacy, if you can read and write, you can do pretty much anything.
Anything. Yeah.
Right. And so I really love this event. I'm when it was kind of fell into my lap, I was hesitant
Mhm.
because I didn't know what I was doing, but
Once you get in.
I got in, and luckily the folks that created the event were there to help me and
Mhm.
help me, as I bumbled through it. But I love doing this event.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So you got to give me more information on how to, be involved with that.
You
So,
got it.
now, why should the public vote for Jeannie?
Okay. So as I said, I have 25 years of experience,
Mhm.
and it's courtroom experience.
Right.
When you think judge, you think courtroom.
Mhm.
Most people
Yeah.
think that. I do.
Yeah, I do.
And having that courtroom experience has trained me to run the courtroom. When I go in the courtroom every day, I, as a CCU attorney, I have my own caseload, right?
Mhm.
And I have two attorneys, line attorneys, that I help supervise and mentor. And I help manage the entire docket.
Mhm.
I work with all the parties that run the courtroom, the sheriff's office, the clerk's office, court administration. And I have that unique advantage of knowing how we all work together
Right.
to make the courtroom run smoothly.
Right.
I also have a lot of trial experience and motion practice experience. And that translates into any area of practice out there. When I become a judge, because I'm going to put it in the universe,
Yes.
I'm going to be positive, I'm not going to get to be on a criminal docket.
Mhm.
Okay. And criminal is what I know,
Mhm.
right? But I won't get to be on a criminal docket because I know it, because I'll know too much about the cases.
Well,
And that's right. It's going to be a clear conflict. So
Right.
I get to learn some new area of practice.
nice.
It's going to be civil in nature, and that means civil, family, probate, whatever, wherever the chief judge decides to put me.
Right.
So I get to learn something new after 25 years. But what I get to take with me from my career as a prosecutor is, as I said, knowing how to run a courtroom, knowing
Mhm.
how to work with all the parties in the courtroom, and the rules of procedure and trial advocacy and evidence. We always hear about criminal trials. That's what's in the news. There's
Yeah.
not a lot of civil trial work in the news. And they probably don't do nearly as many civil trials as criminal. I know they still happen because I see them in the courthouse. But the rules of evidence are critical because if you don't know the rules of evidence, and they apply to, like I said, motion hearings and trials, you can't take a break in the middle of a jury trial to go figure out the rules of evidence.
Right.
Because you got the jury sitting there.
Right.
And they're like, let's go.
Mhm.
Right? In the middle of a motion hearing, motions are filed in all areas of practice and they're set for hearing in advance. So the judge has time to look at the motion, look at the relevant authority, the statutes, the case law, whatever the moving party has provided. If the opposing party has provided a written response or some authority, you can look at that in advance too. So that's good. But when the motion hearing happens, the rules of evidence kick in. And you have to know the rules of evidence in order to properly admit evidence or properly keep evidence out.
Right.
You know, that's one thing that folks don't realize why it's important. Why a judicial race is important because I did a trial about a month, or maybe a month and a half ago now, and if I got an adverse ruling on some evidence, that's going to be a problem for the state. If the defense gets an adverse ruling, that's a problem for the defense, and one side's not getting their fair trial. So the rules of evidence translate for every area of practice.
Okay. Nice. It's always good to know.
Right. It's not something that people have an opportunity to know because we
Right.
don't have a lot of contested judicial races, right? So that doesn't, it's not like county council, city council, all that stuff is pretty routine when it comes to elections. Judge races are not. So the public doesn't have as much opportunity
Hmm.
to learn
To learn
about it
about it.
and to learn why it's important.
So I know you said that you also trained, help those who are coming in that goes in, and I forgot the name of the,
The line attorneys?
not the line, is it the line attorneys, the one that are coming in, learning more about it without getting paid?
Oh, the interns.
Interns,
Yes,
that's the word. I
interns.
can't believe I forgot that word. My
I've
brain.
thrown a lot of legal words out at you, so
Yeah, and what did you love most about having and helping interns?
I love that they want to learn about this.
Yeah.
I love helping someone figure out what they want to do for the rest of their life because that's a big deal.
Yeah.
That's a hard thing to figure out. I was fortunate enough to know I wanted to go to law school. I knew what I wanted to do, but not everyone knows.
Right.
And then when you decide, okay, I want to go to law school, what kind do I want to practice? Not everyone, I didn't actually have that right, as I said, when I started. I had an idea, but clearly it was the wrong idea.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that they want to learn.
Right.
I love when I see our young people that are so dedicated and so motivated to do something.
Yeah.
Right. And even if they don't pick criminal law or even if they pick defense work,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't matter to me. Pick
Right.
something you love to do that you can get behind because then you will be much better at it.
Yep. Yep. And you enjoy doing it.
Yes. Yes.
So, how does the public uh, get to learn more about you? Um, where can they see Jeannie?
Well, I do have a Facebook page for my candidacy. I also have a website that has a lot more detail. It talks about my efforts in Rotary. It talks about the endorsements that I've been blessed to receive. As I go through this race, I've been very fortunate to get some really important endorsements from folks in our legal community and in our professional community.
Mm-hmm.
Um, those are, I also, now that I think about it, before I decided to run in this election, I have applied to be appointed as a judge
Mm.
through the Judicial Nominating Committee. That happens if a judge decides to retire before their term is ended.
Okay.
In this case, Judge Rowe chose to retire, but he's going to finish out his year.
Okay.
Sometimes they quit or retire
Early.
in the middle. And so the Judicial Nominating Committee comes together, and it's a group of 8 individuals that are already made up, and they post an advertisement that, hey, this seat is open. We're collecting applications.
Mm-hmm.
The applications, I don't know, 30, 40 pages long, lots of questions, lots of information.
Yeah.
And then they interview you. And they send up, usually it's 6 names to the governor's office. Sometimes it's less, depending on how many applicants there were or that are worthy. And then you go up and interview with the governor's office
Mm.
at the Capitol. Yes, yes. It's an interesting experience.
Right.
And then the governor picks who
Right.
gets that spot.
Get that
So
in.
I've done that a few times, and some of my applications are in fact online.
Mm-hmm.
Some of my interviews with the JNC have been posted online as well. So that's a little bit more of me
Right.
that can be found out
Okay.
there.
Awesome. So, what's your website?
www.stratus4judge.com.
Awesome. Awesome. Lisa, thank you very much for coming on.
Thank
And
you.
I really appreciate it. I love talking to you.
Thank you.
And yeah, you're the only one I know. Yeah. So you definitely got my vote.
Thank you. So that means the world to me. No,
Yeah.
name recognition is the biggest thing in this race because, again, nobody even knows there's a race out
Yeah.
there.
And not only that, I've seen you out at a couple of the events.
Yes.
You actually come out
Yes.
and you shake hands with people.
Yes.
And get to know people. You've asked me, a couple of questions, and that's how we decided, I need to get you on my podcast. Let's sit down.
Love it.
So, hey, listen.
I got a 3-part questions.
Okay.
Awesome.
But the way you talk, it's like I can see that you really enjoy what you're doing.
Yes.
So, uh, you are your own person without the judge. I'm not talking about the judge. I know you have your own take on things. Does has it ever happened to you that there's some laws that you feel like that it's not fair?
Mhm.
And if that happened, the question is, if and you had to uphold this law anyway, and I don't know if you do or not, and if you do, how do you feel about upholding a law that the person, not the judge, feels like it's unfair?
Short answer is yes, it happens. And I am sworn to uphold the law.
Mhm.
As an assistant state attorney, we actually get sworn in and we are swearing to follow the
The
law.
law, right.
That's part of me as a prosecutor now. And so, again, I know what the law says, and my job is to follow the law. And I may have some feelings about it, I may not, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That's why I say my training as a prosecutor or my time as a prosecutor has trained me for the bench because that's exactly what a judge has to do.
Uphold the law.
Right. My personal opinion is totally irrelevant. If my personal opinion mattered,
Hmm.
the outcome would be all over the place. It'd be chaos. You know, like I said, the example I gave, if you have 3 courtrooms, A, B, C, and the exact same issue comes before each of those judges, if they don't follow the law, you're going to have 3 totally different outcomes for arbitrary reasons.
Mhm.
And again, that's chaos. So, yeah, there are times where I feel like, gosh, I believe this person is guilty. I really would love to do something to help get some resolution for this victim, for this family, but I ethically and legally, I don't have it. And one of the things I also do is I work with my detectives
Mhm.
and say, go see if you can find this. We exhaust all opportunities
Mhm.
to find the evidence. It's sometimes, sadly, it just isn't there. You know, it's
Right.
not like TV. TV's fantastic. And I watch some of the crime shows.
Entertaining.
It is entertainment, you know, and you know, there's DNA everywhere and fingerprints everywhere. But that's not real.
Yeah, reality.
It's so not real. And when I'm in jury selection, that comes up a lot.
Mhm.
And you ask jurors, well, can you separate TV and real life and entertainment? But at the end of the day, sometimes they'll talk to me after a verdict, and it seems that maybe they didn't actually separate it
Right.
right.
Mhm.
It's interesting. But sometimes they do. You know, it's kind of a mixed bag. But and that was a much bigger answer than I think you were probably looking for. But as I said,
That's great.
That's exactly what I was
Yeah.
looking for. Too.
Great.
Because at the end of the day, there's a person behind the judge.
yes.
Yeah.
So it's good that you mentioned that you work with your detectives and ask for stuff because you want to see if there's anything that we can do legally because we're legally bound to do the right thing.
Right.
Yes.
Even though we feel that it's not the right thing, but the law, we got to uphold the law. The law is there for a reason.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's very good.
Yeah. And I've had good luck with that. My detectives, you know, having done the trials, the detectives don't always get called into trial. But since I do the trials and I present things to the jury and I work with the rules of evidence and the elements and the jury instructions and all those little things,
Mhm.
I have a different perspective than they do. So I can maybe suggest, hey, go see if we can find that. Go see if we can find this. And sometimes it works. Sometimes we do find something that we didn't previously have because they didn't know
Right.
that might help or how to find it, how to get it.
Mhm.
And sometimes it's unfortunately just not there,
Right. Yeah.
you know, but upholding the law is what I'm sworn to do now and what I've been sworn to do for 25 years. So
Awesome.
to me, it's routine at this point,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Miss Jeannie. I really appreciate you coming on the show and you know, educating us more on exactly what in the law field what a judge does and everything. And I think the audience know a little bit more about you, and I'm looking forward to seeing how you become the next circuit judge.
Thank you for having me. And
Yeah.
thank you for allowing me to help talk about this judicial race because it is so important. It's far more important than I think people realize.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, tune in. Hey, listen, you hear about Miss Jeannie, and go out and vote, man. Don't just sit in there. Just go out and vote.
Yeah.
Help build your community.